Hello, my name is Frances Fox. I'm here because in a prior incarnation, or prior to incarnating, I determined I wanted to learn as much information as possible in order to help planet Earth transition into this new era. I had a few people that joined me on that, which basically would be all of you, because this has not been an easy lifetime for almost anybody. And we chose to come in knowing it was going to be difficult. So we're in this together. And for the first time, I honestly think we're going to make it. We're going to accomplish our mission. So let's go into the gossip first. We got good gossip. It's been a month and a half, and the Mafia is still controlling my mail. I don't have a single piece of mail getting to me after a month and a half. So I want to remind my enemies that I think it's a federal offense. And I don't know if you take one piece of mail, how long they put you in jail or whatever they do. This is an entire month and a half. It turns out that apparently, according to astrological reads, and they can be very accurate, there's supposed to be some important documents coming my way, and they're getting intercepted. Now, why on earth would this group of people think they can get away with this? Because they've always gotten away with it. Why would they think different now? After all, somebody was going to kill the president, at which time they weren't going to have to worry about anything. Well, it looks like Trump. His intention is so strong to accomplish his mission, they're not going to be able to take him down. You cannot die unless you intend on it. So he will not be assassinated unless he intends on it. And the thing that could change there is, again, exhaustion. So he needs to take care of that. So I don't have mail for a month and a half. I have no idea who's trying to contact me. My second most important email is not available to me. That's through GoDaddy. Not available to me. And I can never get them. I have not, and in this sense, it could be my fault that I haven't been able to keep the focus or to understand enough to be able to get this corrected. That's been about a month and a half. So we're getting boring here. Oh, wait a second. I forgot to tell you about Merrill Lynch. I told you yesterday, they have been playing games with my account to the extent that they apologized. And there's a paper trail. We put in a request for a significant amount of money to be transferred. I wanted to put it in Tesla. They sent $600 to the stockbroker. We never asked for $600. It was many times that. They sent me an email 10 days later and said, we got your request and we'll get back to you if we need anything. The money's sitting there in the account. Anyway, I was with them on the phone for an hour and a half yesterday. Oh my goodness. And they finally put me with senior management. They said, you know what, we really apologize. We dropped the ball on this. I said, well, why did you send $600 to the stockbroker? We never asked for $600. Well, we really don't know. One of the issues is, which is what I'm noticing, as I told you, there's a new word. It's called unalive, which means to kill someone. And that's being used in astrology so that the algorithms don't take down the astrological reads when they talk about somebody wanting to kill somebody. So they put unalive. I don't know how many astrological reads having to do with me have that word in it. These people thought I'd be dead by now. So they could go ahead and do whatever. If my kids ever got to my bank accounts, at that point, they would be so confused and not quite so sure, they would have never found it. I'm still alive. I'm not going anyplace because it is not my intention. That's one bank. The other bank, it was about 6 months ago, and there was something really big going on, and we don't need to get into that because it's going to start to get boring. It's not going to be boring between now and when the elections happen, which is in like 2 weeks. So we all have to keep our focus, and I have to not order food, not go food shopping, not go clothes shopping. I'm wearing the same clothes that, oh my God. So many things I cannot do, but that's okay. Let's continue to something a lot more interesting, which is Facebook gossip. Elon Musk, pay attention. I believe he said, and it doesn't really matter whether he said it or not, because I can make mistakes, that he was, if you had proof that in social media they were controlling you, that he would absolutely use his power and his attorneys to go after them. Well, we've had an issue for a long time in which my followers will press the like button and then it'll disappear. And they'll press it again, it'll disappear. And I used to finish a chat and then a black screen would come up and show the amount of people that were there. And then 30 seconds later, when I clicked over to the actual Facebook page, it would be 30, 40, 50% less people. I'm not allowed more than 6,000 people to see my horoscopes. So if I do a horoscope on a Saturday, by Sunday night, I have like 5,500 people. And the rest of the week, which is when we're doing all the promos, we only get another 5, 6, 700 people. Okay. About 6 months ago, no, it would have been longer than that. I did a live with Dr. Nancy Alvarez. She's really good. She's a sexologist. And I interviewed the spirit of a person who changed her sexuality. And it was very beautiful. It was really, really, really interesting. So I wanted everybody to see it. And when I looked at, she has 5 million people that follow her, La Doctora Nancy Alvarez. When I looked at her YouTube page, there were very few people who saw the video, and it was fascinating. It was on sex operations, whatever. Weird. So one night I said to everybody who was on with me with the chat, I said, I want everybody right now to go to this link. I want you to press like, and I want you to put a comment. Yes, we got a few more, but we didn't get the 200 additional that had gone there. Okay, so last night we were together in the chat, and I used to be able to see two people sitting in front of computers while we were having our chats, and then lowering the numbers, lowering the numbers, lowering the numbers. But before I say that, a couple years ago, somebody did an interview with us, and I opened a window, and there were, I don't know how many people that had seen it, and I was very happy with it. So a couple hours later, I came back to my computer in Space Cadet. I opened another window, even though I already had one open. There were 200 people less than 2 hours before. It wasn't not just that the numbers didn't continue to grow. There were 200 people less that had seen it. Anyway, I have those screenshots someplace. So last night we had this great chat. Everything's going really well. We're really very enthusiastic with our discoveries. And people were complaining. I keep putting a like because they encourage each other, because we know that there are more people following us than we are allowed to show. So people would come in and say, they'd say, please put a like. And somebody would say, I tried to, but it keeps getting. So we started to play a game. A couple years ago, I would always see two guys, youngish guys, sitting leaned back in their chairs in front of computers, and they would be watching my chats. And okay, we're monitored. Okay, and the numbers are taken down fine. But yesterday, what I saw was a much younger woman, just one woman, 30s maybe. And people were complaining. I keep putting like, I can't put like, I don't get any comments. They put comments and they're taken off. So like nobody saw it, especially in English. Well, both of them, but especially in English. Nobody saw it and nobody comments. And it's not true. Okay, so I said, let's play a game here. Everybody put the like and put comments. And I was talking about the girl that was in front of a computer working for Facebook, not in her home. She was in an office. And she's looking at the chat. And she got very nervous. And I'm not the only psychic, because remember, what I'm training them to be is to be psychic. So their instinctive knowing and the intelligence of the heart and the ability to have information will come easily. So this girl in Facebook stands up from her chair. She's a nervous wreck. Several other people saw her. And then she goes out of the room. And then eventually she came back with two of the guys. Nobody sat down. and our numbers went up dramatically, and they stayed up. Today we have a lot more numbers. But the trick of the matter is we have a lot of people that did screenshots and did little videos. So Elon Musk, if you're listening, we probably don't need to get there, because I suspect that miraculously 15th of October, my numbers are going to go up. It's really not right. We're talking YouTube. I may have said Facebook. It's YouTube. That's the one everybody's afraid to challenge, because they could take you down. My God. And what do they call it? Deplatform you. Well, they don't pay me anything anyway. Supposedly, if you let them advertise on your videos and you get more money, it doesn't make any difference in my case. And I'm sure a lot of other people that have interesting to say. So that's the other gossip. So Elon, are you listening? Actually, you know what's interesting? All I have to do is throw out the name Elon. And because they are listening to our chats on YouTube, I'm sure it makes them very nervous, because they know what they're doing, and they know that with screenshots, we can verify it. Now, I guess even if they take away 2 people, and it's not 2 people, I'm telling you, I'm not allowed over 6,000 people on my horoscopes. I have the most ridiculous numbers. They're so low, it's ridiculous. But we know it's not that low, but whatever. Last month, the number of people who went into my Shopify, my store, went up 750%. Because we're now putting ads on the ends of our chats, whatever. Exactly. For whatever reason, we're really not good at marketing. And that's like a great number. And Shopify, one day, the guy, because I was calling about something, he said, you have really good numbers. It's not that I sell so much. Traffic, really, really good numbers. Okay. Last night's chat, we had 591 likes. That's like, oh my God. So we'll throw up Elon Musk's name, and we are going to get 591 likes. And I think that number is incorrect, Savvy, the number of viewers, but you can put it there so you can see it. So we have the post office that we need to go after. We have banking, which is already really iffy. We have YouTube. Facebook is behaving better since the whole Elon and Zuckerberg fist fight thing. It's not a fist fight, a cage fight thing. It's better. So I wanted to just say, you know me, I'm ADD, I'm all over the place, but I cannot let this go, and it's going to be very short. The dolphins told me that everything, when you're not doing well, everything's a zombie issue. How can that be? When you have cancer, that part of your body is a zombie issue. Part of your consciousness left that part of your body, which means that part of your body is a zombie issue, because a spirit comes in, because that is not left empty. And I went, wow. And then a couple of years ago, medical science said, wow, cancer cells wake up at night and reproduce quicker. So what does that mean to them? Dummies, what does it mean to them? Forget the Jesus Christ thing, the whatever. What does that mean to them? That they should change their chemotherapy to give you more at night. The chemotherapy that kills you. This is their conclusion. This is why we're a mess. The conclusion should have been, how can a cancer cell wake up? You can only wake up something that's asleep, and you can only be asleep if you have consciousness. Now, these are studies that have been validated. We did not pick this up from the news in Hawaii Hawaii is part of the United States, and some weird non-NATO dominated countries, the United States. Your cancer cells wake up at night. And then you don't understand why it is that your pain augments at night. What's the explanation for that, medical sciences? Spirits want you when you're vulnerable. Just at night when you're trying to sleep. Okay, well, I needed to put that in. We're not going into that any further. We're going back to the whole sex thing. Today at 8, we're giving an event. This is not a sales pitch because it's in Spanish and most of you only speak English. This is not a sales pitch. We do have a lot of people. And it started out being an event on sexuality, impotence, and frigidity. And then with what I discovered when I was doing the horoscopes that can't get more than 6,000 people to see them, I discovered that we forgot the importance of our sexual energy center, which is the second chakra, 2 inches below the belly button, manages 3 energies in humans. The sacred, there's the orgasm, is spiritual ecstasy, Mother St. Teresa, manifestation, and creation. Now, I had always said creativity because that's what I had read. I wasn't thinking. It's creation. What's our biggest creation as a human being? A child. So I immediately had a nervous breakdown. It brought up all sorts of issues for me, but they were great. I was really happy. Oh, no, wait. There's one more thing that the second chakra energy center controls, and that is joy. The name of that energy center means joy in Hinduism. Okay, so are we low on joy in the planet? I got to put that on the list. Joy almost doesn't exist on the planet because that chakra is very sick. To say that it's limping is an understatement. So let me give you a list of things, and I'm sure there's more, that have to do with that energy center. And then we go to the whole sex trafficking thing, which has to do with that energy center also. And then we go to the fact that in the Catholic Church, and many people have identified the worst invading spirits on planet Earth, including the Catholic Church says it, are the incubus and succubus, which reside in the sexual chakra. They're the ones that turn people into perverts and perverted killers, where they do these god awful things. Okay, so these were all the things associated with that energy center. So if other people more savvy than us know this, then I could see why they would be totally focused on destroying that part of us. So here's the list. The sex chakra, which is the sacral sexual creation manifestation energy center. Sex trafficking, obviously. Population collapse. No people aren't having sex anymore. I'm a psychic. 30 years ago, I was sick of women asking me if the guy, is he going to leave his wife? Is he going to ask me to marry him? Is he interested? Does he find me attractive? Sex. Okay? So, okay, psychics, I got to put that there. It changed our work. For me, it was better because you shouldn't, if you're a psychic, you shouldn't read anything that you've had an issue with. To say I've had an issue with that area is, we don't need to discuss that. So, sex trafficking, population collapse, not enough sex. The transgender issue is a sex issue. But it's really weird because, as I say, I never hear them talking about actually having sex. They talk about changing their body to look like the other sex, but the whole sex thing is having sex, the act of sex, spiritual ecstasy, orgasm. Never hear them talk about that. The gays, yes, but not this group. I'm not being critical, I'm being an observer. Domestic violence is usually about sex because it's usually a male hitting a female. Not always. The issue of joy is generated in that energy center. You can run around the block, you can ask anybody you want. You have to go back to the original research, the original information on that. And second chakra is what generates joy in human beings. It's not generated in your heart or your head. It's that energy center. Bipolar is usually a sexual issue. The entities that enter usually end up residing in the second chakra. What is the connection? I don't want to discuss it. I'm not bipolar. But there's a connection. Sex abuse. 30-40% of the population has been sexually abused? Okay. Control of politicians and powerful businessmen. It's a sex issue mainly. Spirits and the intelligence community know there's two ways to take people down: money or sex. Now, the people that have controlled me locally and nationally have used the issue of threats to children. Oh, that's a novel thing. That's not under sex. But then I'm a sex trafficking victim, so come on. The Trump issue with all the legal issues having to do with the sexual accusations. So we have control of politics and political groups and what people want to represent them. They use the sex issue that practically everybody has strong thoughts on it. They don't do it, they don't have the sex, but they have strong thoughts. The whole Trump, the sex issue, that lawsuit from that little bit weird woman, sex issue, not hers. Abortions have to do with that energy center. Impotence, rigidity, fertility issues have to do with that center. And I'm telling you, the things that we're doing to resolve the fertility issue, if you know what goes on in the other dimensions with the spirit of the persons, you would go, wait a second, I think we need to do a little bit more research. Or maybe we need to fix the issue of fertility. Okay. Pornography, cults. Is there a cult where they don't use sex to control? Maybe there is, but practically all of them. Sex is a core part of the way they control. Spiritual ecstasy is an internally generated, without a partner, orgasm. Sexual chakra. And the biggest issues with shame, which is the largest, the highest, the most damaging of all of our emotional reactions, is usually having to do with sex. All of those things are associated with sex. Sex trafficking has the ability to destroy planet Earth. And as I said yesterday, or was it the day before? I don't know, because yesterday was not an easy day. With the thing with the bank, I was in a rage because I thought these guys are going to get away with it again. As I told you, as a sex trafficking victim, I had to pay for my airline tickets once I was an adult. And they would hold a gun to my head, or, oh, and how are your beautiful children? And I had to give them money. Okay. So, sex trafficking. So, why are we thinking it could take down? I think that the reason, which is the reason that's being said, that little Jeffrey Epstein black book and the whole thing with that island and all the sexual stuff with higher ups, the reason it's not confronted the way it should be confronted and should have been was because of all the people it's going to take down. Society's going to collapse, Mr. Trump, if this is not handled in a way that makes sense, which is not so easy to figure out. So there we go again to the second energy center, which is 2 inches below your belly button. Oh, I forgot. Global warming. What's that got to do with the second energy center? The element associated with that center is water. There's not enough water. People are dehydrated. Throw away the global warming thing. There's an issue with water. We never had bottles of water 30 years ago. Come on. It's getting worse. People have to have water next to their bed. By the way, they put a glass of water next to their bed. They don't cover it. So guess what Cabalistic rabbis and santeros, which are the black magicians, recommend that you do if you think you have spirits in your bedroom. You put a glass of water under your bed and it collects spirits. But you can also put it next to your bed and it's going to collect spirits. So half of you are putting a glass of water next to your bed and you are drinking it in the middle of the night or the next day. You're drinking spirits. There's no way there's no spirits going in there because it's been known through centuries that why are the spirits so dumb? Because the water kind of makes them null and void, but they do. For some reason, they jump into the water. Now, I thought it was just the santeros that recommended that, the black magicians from that religion, Santeria. But I delivered a Cabalistic rabbi to an event because he was visiting me, and he had to go to an event in the Gables, in the Gables. So I took him when we had finished, visiting together, whatever. And I stayed to see, when he was being introduced. And the first thing he said was about that glass of water. So I went, wow, they know that too. You don't know that. So water issues are also related to the second chakra. There's not enough water. We're not getting enough water. So that part of us is dehydrated. And what are we doing about it? Absolutely zero. Why? Because it's overwhelming. It's huge. We got to get a grip on this. So the sex trafficking things in the collapse of society. Go back to the Mayan Tortuguera prophecy. Okay? Which I just put the link there. The Maya Tortuguera prophecy, I believe it was some stones that were discovered after 2012. And there were like 6 sections. It gets tedious reading for somebody like me. But the last thing that it says is that at the end of end times, which is now, people would start people's subpersonalities, which is where you put your shame, your rage, the memories of things you don't want to remember, etc., etc. People's subpersonalities would start to lift up and come out. And the problem was going to be that the person that this information was bubbling out, that isn't expecting it and does not know what to do with it, that craziness, that horror that individuals are going to feel is what's going to cause the collapse of society. Okay, that's so interesting. And then everybody's frightened to release the Epstein Black Book because it may, unless it's handled correctly, collapse society and the planet. So do you think you should need to know more about that energy center and make sure that yours is operational? And if you're somebody like Trump or somebody that's running governments or running what, you need to know about this in order for you to be able to handle it, in order for you to understand and figure out your position having to do with the biggest issue on the planet, which is sex. Got it? It's the biggest issue on the planet. So the ending of the world as we know it has to do with not knowing enough about sex. And then we're not talking sexual positions at all. I haven't said anything about that. And I'm not going to. Like I say, get into bed with whoever and you guys figure it out and have fun figuring it out, okay? Oh, joy. You can have more joy. So at 8 o'clock, you can't come because you don't speak Spanish. But if enough of you wanted to, I could do it in English. You don't really need to speak the language anyway, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do purifications on that energy center on everybody that paid and is coming. The event is an hour, it's $50. I'm not promoting it at all. But I'm going to be doing the work because we have the Matrix implants, which the Matrix movie tried to tell us about, and we love the movie, but we never expected that that was really real. It is. The worst spirits that human beings have, even according to the Catholic Church, live in that energy center. And then there's a new type of parasitic spirits called Xenos, Xenos, and I'll be taking care of those also, as many as I can. And I'll do 3 other things that have to do with your energy center, that your whole system, so that you will be able to function better. sex. And it's not about the sexual act. It's about how important that energy center is. Because the bottom line is not the sexuality part of that energy center, but the creation part of that energy center. So my group, we have gotten together, I think, 3 times. The second time we had to quit because I had talked about this in the English chat. So the mafiosos were hysterical and did a lot of black magic on me, and I could barely keep it together in that chat. But we went ahead and we went back last night. So here's the trick, the most important thing you need to know. That energy center is where you create creation. So when you have an intention, here's my intention. Okay. Da, 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 da. You're in the business world and you have an intention, and then it gets grounded by having a business plan, which everybody should have. And they should have a plan for their life. Visualization, images is the way creation starts in the deepest dimensions of an image with a thought, and then it gets energized and it moves from one dimension to the other until it becomes a manifested, which is that energy center, and it is created and it gets manifested on the physical dimension. So we have been experimenting and it is incredible. We will do a mantra of intention and a visualization from here, the way you always do it. You're thinking it's from here, from the top of your body. Da, 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 da. These energy centers are not associated with physical reality and the physical body. They're not associated with physical body. They're spiritual centers. Throat, third eye, crown, the third eye that you guys are so afraid of. Oh my God, it's a conspiracy. You know what the conspiracy is? That you're so afraid of it, you never found out enough about it. You're so afraid of sex, you never found out enough about it. We are all so put off by those are spirits that we haven't handled this well. We haven't handled it well. So the experiment, and I had to get cranky with the group because they were going, oh, I'm going to do this too. That's not the way you do an experiment. You do it the way I'm telling you to do it, and then whenever you want, you can do it any way you want. And even on the chat, you can do it any way you want. But please don't put on the chat what you're doing that's different from what I'm saying, because you're taking away the focus which you need in order to create, to have an intention to make it happen. The kind of thing that Trump and Elon has, and very successful people, artists, Michelangelo. Focus, focus. So anyway, so we do this visualization, the mantra, and we put on the right music, which is the music I don't like that Mateo Cuaron did. Oh, I wonder why I don't like that music. It has horses, which is good for sex therapy. They actually use it for sex therapy. Okay, so, and then I tell everybody, okay, so you saw it, you did it, and I see a lot of light when I do the mantra, whatever it is I was visualizing. I said, now drop your consciousness into your second energy center. Oh my God. In my case, it was total chaos in my second energy center. Total chaos. Black, red. There was a little me there, scared to not obey. I mean, I'm supposed to be creating from there. Well, let me go back up. No, man. That's creation. The second energy center, which is also about sex. So you might want to sign up for these events, and I can pull out a lot of the stuff that you have there, and then you can start to train your consciousness, which you can do right now, to drop down into the second energy center. So knowing this, we can understand why Jesus Christ's life story was so manipulated. If you have an important man on the planet that is admired and that millions have followed, it's a good way to get people to feel bad about having sex. After all, don't we all want to be like Jesus Christ? And as I said yesterday, it's a joke and it's not a joke. I tell my followers that are women, you have Christ crucified above your bed. And next to it, You have little angels. They don't have sex either. Except I believe that one about the angels. You know why? Because they're not from this planet. And off planet, apparently, all those ETs, I've never heard. Somebody said, corrected me and said, no, the Pleiadians have sex or they're sexual. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. So you have millions of people for 2,000 years. The person they admire the most supposedly didn't have sex. In other words, we have really gotten ourselves into trouble. And I am actually very pleased that my followers, who are Hispanic and most of them Catholic and believers and whatever, that I haven't gotten more grief about this. But like I tell them, would you please put your thinking cap on? And that is one thing that I bring to the table and that I would request that you all do. What was required of me, which is you widen your lens. Stop parroting what you were taught. Start observing and thinking. Widen the lens and look. And don't follow what you're fed. If what you're being told by society or your religion or even your family doesn't make sense, then maybe they don't have the story right and you shouldn't continue it. Like I tell people, this whole thing with the religions, if your kid came home from school and gave you some of those stories that they make us or they fed us having to do with religion, the mother would say to the kid, what's the matter with you? Who the hell's going to believe that? Why are you making up stories? But if the religion says it, then we believe it and we don't think about it. Give me a second because there was something else I wanted to say and it slipped away. And the Cuban political mafia, they're actually beating up on each other. They are desperate. They are at each other's throats. They have people in the group that are already delivering themselves and saying, I'll be a whistleblower. And the game's not even over yet. Trump hasn't gotten in, but he will. And they know that too. So when my mind slips, it's, I believe, just my mind slipping. Okay. Give me a second because there was one more thing I wanted to say. Yes, I'm going to give you a cute example of how we're taught not to think by what we now call legacy media, which means media that's controlled. I had in the 90s a handler. Okay, I've always had a handler. You don't get away with not having one. And his specialty was the Caribbean. Okay. And so I had to speak to him every day. He was one sick man. He was the one that they would send after the CIA agents that went rogue, which is what I was being considered at that time. I didn't really realize it till afterwards. Oh, he's got that horrible job. I was his whatever. So he would tell me the stories of what was going on in the Caribbean in terms of news. But it was current events. And then I feel like crying now. I don't know why. I would read the news. And it was kind of the same story, except that what he told me added up and made sense. And what was in the news didn't make any sense at all. And I'm not going to have the details because I don't remember. But one of the stories where it was like really obvious was when some guys defected from Cuba, Castro's Cuba, oh my God. And they came here and they said they had a list of 200 names of Cubans that were working for Castro. They were here in the United States, Miami, Washington. You can imagine the chaos, everybody accusing each other. And then after several days being debriefed in Washington, whatever, they said, you know what, this is just too damaging. We're not going to release the information. They had already done the damage. It was done on purpose. It was a setup. to turn the community against each other. But that wasn't the most interesting story. I'm just not remembering the other ones. But what he would tell me was actually going on in the Caribbean. Made sense. And then the news, if you look at it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And we've been accepting this. Bit of a mess. And we did that with medicine. This doesn't make any sense. Why on earth are you going to take a person who's got cancer and give them something that could kill them? Well, maybe on the off chance. And why would you revere a doctor who said he can't help you? Oh, but he's so nice. Don't do that, guys. And that's the whole training that I'm giving the Mantrista movement people. Think. Don't follow. You can follow me to learn stuff and to learn how to psychic abilities, whatever. But you need to think. Even if I say something, if it doesn't make any sense, you need to call me on it. We're in trouble. But maybe we can turn this around if we actually go to causal. And causal having to do with the destruction of the United States has to do with our lack of understanding of the importance of sex, that energy center, and how to handle the sheer volume of people that are sick in that department due to this society not really understanding it. Okay, I finished. I don't want to exhaust myself because I'm going to do that. The first class that I'm going to do where I'm going to clear that energy center is in like 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and do a mantra. And I'm going to put on the music that irritates me. Do you know why the music irritates me? It's for the second chakra because of the spirit attachments. I don't think I've met anybody that doesn't have spirit attachments in the second chakra. If you have a wrinkle, there's a spirit attached. If your left eye is limping because you're really stressed, you have a spirit attached. If you have cancer, you have spirit attached. You have diabetes, you have spirit attached. If your back hurts, you have a spirit attached. They don't look like a big spirit. Like if it's bad back aches, you would have like a little octopus in red because that would be rage, repressed fire. So the mantra, you can have a Buddha in your bedroom. Buddhist monks, they do okay in that department. So yeah, you can have a Buddha in the bedroom. And you can have Jesus Christ in your bedroom. I'm not against Jesus. I live more like him than practically everybody who's running around with a book. I love the people on X who are biblical. Jesus didn't do that. So, yes, you don't turn from Jesus. Just think. Because the guy did exist and he brought good stuff and he did die on the cross. And that's another thing. He died on the cross. Oh my God, he died on the cross for us. That was nothing compared to what all of us went through in the mind control program. And we're not considered Jesus Christ. So what's going on here? And it's not about Jesus. It's about all of you guys. It's not about Jesus. Nobody can challenge me on the Jesus thing because of the way I live and what I teach and what I do. Okay? Nobody can challenge me on that. So maybe that's why I feel free to say it. Okay, so we're going to do the music that I can't stand because it is going to stimulate and create unrest in my second energy center. And the mantra we're going to do is having to do with mastering. You know what? Purifying. Let's do purifying. You're not ready for mastering that energy center. Please. The event at 8 is in Spanish. This is not the event. This is a chat in English, which I give every three nights a week in English. Okay? So this is the mantra. And let me put the link to the event in case some of you do speak Spanish, which I know a lot of you do. Where would it be? Here. This is it. In case you're interested. And now let me get back to you here. I'll put it up in a second. Please, God, help me with my intention to purify my, it's your second chakra. Second chakra. Okay? 2 inches below your belly button. So you take your breath down there. And initially you're going to go, how do I do that? You just breathe down there. You intend it. And you'll shift your consciousness. It's kind of neat. Okay? So here's the link to the event if you're interested. Okay. And here's the music. So we're going to do 5 minutes. Okay. It's funny. that nice? Didn't bother me so much, the music today. So, and I'm laughing more genuinely, and I'm more playful. Playfulness comes from the second chakra. You know how people have that playful smile after they have sex, especially when they start a relationship, sexual relationship. That's the stimulation and the flowing of the energy in that energy center. So we have the election coming up. I believe it's the 4th of November. I have a family all over the place. I have, I think, 4 grandkids in universities that are not in Miami. And then I have 2 kids. And then I have a woman that was married into my family and a daughter in law who I adore. And I am going to say right now that I'm paying attention and I can see in the other dimensions. There is going to be severe consequences. I am going to turn into an animal if anything happens. Even if you think I'm not going to find out about it, remote viewing. That's one of the reasons why you wanted to control me. To any of my kids or anybody that they're associated with. And I would like you to pay close attention to Key Biscayne because they have some plans with my kids in Key Biscayne, Grove Isle. Not so sure. That's the first place that needs to go down. What an interesting place for sex trafficking, Grove Isle. Interesting. So there's an expression in Spanish, guerra avisada no mata soldado, which means if you forewarn that you're going to go to war, the soldiers don't need to die. I'm forewarning all you guys. And I don't care if you're from the blankety blank government, or if you're the Cuban political mafia, or if you're somebody else that was messing around with my bank accounts. You're already in enough trouble. Do not augment the trouble. I am a powerful person in many ways. It was required that I become that. That's why I survived. And I am going to go after you. And it's not going to be pretty because I'm multidimensional and I'm not talking black magic. So I'm telling you that there's augmented danger for all of us between now and after the election. And I don't know what's going to happen at election day. I don't know if it all quiets down because we still have the Jeffrey Epstein Little Black Book, which doesn't get released on election day. And by the way, Trump, listen to me. I was sex trafficked with Kennedy when I was less than 14. That's child trafficking. So you're saying you're going to put to death the people that sexually abused children. Would you have put to death President Kennedy? Now, I know everybody's going, wait a second, Francis, what are you doing? What are you doing, Francis? What are you doing? I'm trying to make all of you guys think. You all need to think. If you don't think and get clear and your thinking is not logical, this is all going down. And it's not going to just be the bad people. We're going to go all down together. First place, I don't think Kennedy knew how old I was. I was between 12 and 14, and I don't know how old I was, but he died when I was 14. Therefore, I was a child, even though I certainly didn't feel like a kid. So can we please put our thinking caps on? Can we please be civilized? Can we stop committing more crimes between now and the elections, or now and whenever Trump gets into power and decides what he's going to do with the bad guys? Can we please stop committing more crimes? There are going to be consequences, certainly in terms of me and my people. Okay? And I'm not talking about YouTube and Elon, can you please help me with this? Okay? Guerra avisada no mata soldado. Got it, guys? Thank you for joining me. And today is Wednesday, so you won't see me again till, what day is today? Wednesday. Oh, I don't think I was supposed to be here today. I think it was Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'll see you again